what does the world's biggest aviation deal mean for India? That's the question I want to raise. Ashok Mago is the founding chairman, US-India Chamber of Commerce. He joins me from America. And Jitendra Bhargav, former executive director, Air India, author The Descent of Air India, joins me. Jitendra Bhargav, to you first. What does this mean for Air India? It's one thing for Joe Biden to say million jobs, 44 states. What does this really mean for India and, more importantly, Air India?
Rajdeep, I couldn't get your question, I think, because the sound is a little low.
Can I repeat it? What does this mean
please.
for Air India and India? We know what it means for the Americans are claiming it means jobs for them, but what does it really mean for us?
Oh, it's a great thing for Air India and for the India. Let's put it this way. India has been a growing market for more than 10 years now. But all of the market was being taken away by the Gulf carriers and the Southeast Asian carriers because India did not have an airline which had the wherewithal to add capacity at the pace at which the market was growing. Air India having been disinvested, now with the Tatas, they have the wherewithal, the funds, the resources, the vision. And they made it very clear when they regained control of Air India that they will make Air India a world-class airline. And in quest of the same objective, they're moving with 470 aircraft order. What does it mean for the Indians? A, people in India, connectivity from their cities, option of another airline besides the Indigo which dominates the domestic skies. For the international Indian diaspora abroad, connectivity. At the moment, Air India operates 47 flights a week to United States, 5 cities. There are many cities which are not served in United States where you have large Indian concentration. So once you have a 70 long-haul, large capacity aircraft inducted, you will see this emerging that Indians will start patronizing. Why waste your time in Dubai, Abu Dhabi on your way to India or on your way out of India? So this is the one big objective. Second is, where are the jobs going to be created when you have Indian carriers? Or if when the Emirates take away, they hire the pilots, they hire the cabin crew there. When you have an Indian carrier operating, growing at the way Tatas are proposing to, jobs get created in India. Pilots, cabin crew, maintenance engineers, everyone. So it's a total win-win situation for the Indian aviation.
You don't see any downside? You don't see any downside at all in the fact that maybe in this expansion, first you've got to get the branding right. You're going to have to ensure that Air India gets its branding, revives its image before it's able to compete globally with the likes of Emirates.
Rajdeep, let me explain to you here. Air India, ever since it came under Tata's, has been expanding operations. The first mode they adopted was the leasing of aircraft. Then they have been able to restore some of the aircraft which were on ground for want of spares because their vendors were not paid during the government ownership of Air India. The third phase is the induction of new aircraft. 25 737-800s, 6 Airbus 350s will be inducted in the second half of this year. Now, your question. Should you wait for the perception to change and then bring it? By the time the stranglehold of the other airlines will only increase. The faster Air India goes, the better perception will change gradually. The product quality that the new aircraft will offer will match the best in the world. And as Mr. Ratan Tata said when Air India regained control, that we will ensure that the JRD Tata's dream is relived. He realized the dream of JRD Tata. And what was JRD Tata's dream? That India must have a world-class airline.
So you're saying this is a step-by-step process towards that goal of becoming a world-class airline. But Ashok Mago, at the moment the aircraft will be manufactured in France, the engines will be United Kingdom, the US will manufacture the Boeings. They benefit. Do you believe India benefits too?
Yes, I think India benefits because, as your other speaker mentioned, right now, the Gulf airlines are taking most of the business. Just in the neighborhood where I live, in the Dallas area, there are more than 300,000 Indians who live here. Texas, which has an economy of $2 trillion, have the second largest Indian population in USA. We don't have any direct flight from Dallas or Houston. Hopefully, with Air India buying these planes, we will have that service. The
So
DFW
you're
airport,
saying this will in a way improve connectivity. This will in a way make Air India competitive in a global market. That's the point you're making. Am I correct, Mr. Mago?
Yes,
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. Mr. Bhargava, you know, as someone who has often written about the descent of Air India into chaos, particularly when it was run by the government of India, it's ironic that the government of India today is almost taking the credit for Air India now being run by Tatas and getting these 470 aircraft.
They're not totally wrong. The government decision to disinvest, number one, which took it to a logical end, notwithstanding the kind of opposition it faced from within the airline and outside. And this becomes a role model for all private public sector companies which are not doing well, which are in a competitive environment, to say, look, take the example of Air India now. Look at the kind of change Air India's future gets into with the private ownership. There are no fear on jobs. Go ahead and see, take pride in the fact that your company, which wasn't doing well till recently, facing the prospects of shutting down, is now thriving and is going to give competition to the best airlines in the world. So it's a win-win situation. I'm not grudging. And Prime Minister's presence could have been a positive impact, that you've got better deal out of them and to manufacture more components of the aircraft that one can do. So it's a good situation. I don't think anybody takes credit for it. It's ultimately Air India which is going to be benefiting. And as my co-panelist said, the Indians who were looking forward to expansion of flight frequencies network in the United States will be also big gainers.
Okay. The good news, of course, is therefore that brand India in a way gets a lift off. So you've got the BBC story where opinion is divided as to why exactly should the government of India go after BBC, and perhaps that damages India's global image as a liberal democracy. And here, when it comes to Air India, clearly India's image gets a lift. That's the nature of the world.